Let's talk about Guilty Gear. It's been one video since I last talked about Strive. I originally had another video planned, but why would I talk about other shit when Strive is finally out? Am I right, gamers? Guilty Gear Strive has been available for PS4 players since last Tuesday, and last Friday, everyone who didn't give Arxis their money, their time, and their firstborn child finally got to play the game, so a lot of people are finally jumping into the game and getting a good whiff of that bullshit blazing that Daisuke magicked into existence with his guitar wizard skills. This joke's getting out of hand. So, with people finally getting the game, you may be seeing some of your friends playing and wonder if you should pick up the game for yourself if you're still on the fence about it all. If that's you, then don't worry. I'm gonna go through what I think of the game and give an honest review of everything I can, apart from the story. In fact, let's get that out of the way. It looks pretty. Giovanna taught there needs to be more fights. Why is there a full-ass anime in my fighting game? So with that out of the way, let's get into the full review. How good is Guilty Gear Strive? Let's start with one of Guilty Gear Strive's greatest strengths, the gameplay. The game is a 1v1 fighting game with the ability to air dash. If you couldn't tell from the aesthetic as well as this, it's because it's an anime game. But unlike other anime games, the gameplay isn't as complicated. This isn't Melty Blood or Ultra Fight de Chianta. There's no Boko Bars to look out for, and you're not gonna have a seizure while playing the game. Probably. The game is a high damage fighting game. Combos are mostly short and simple, normals do a lot of damage, and if you have meter, you'll blow up your enemy real quick, like, Jesus fuck, bye Chip, see you in hell! This means you don't have to learn very long combo strings in order to do a lot of damage to an enemy. Most characters can win the match in around 3 to 4 combos if you play your cards right. This is obviously different between characters, like Chip is probably going to need to do more hits to win due to his mix-ups compared to Potemkin, who can just... Also, I don't know where else to put this, but Nago's archetype is literally labeled as one shot, and they are not wrong about that. You might see this and think that this game must be easier compared to other anime fighting games, or even other Guilty Gear games. And while the skill floor is definitely much lower for you to get into it, I can't even imagine how high the skill ceiling is, let alone see it. Even on Giovanna, one of the easiest characters in the game, it feels like she has layers upon layers of depth that just keeps going down. How deep are you, Giovanna? Oh god, I could have phrased that better. People have complained about the lack of Gatlings in the game and how it feels restrictive compared to the previous Guilty Gears, but personally, I like the Gatlings being smaller. Even if the combos aren't as long and as crazy as the previous games, I enjoy it. It feels like the depth of the game has been taken from the long combos to the neutral game. That doesn't mean it plays like Street Fighter or Tekken or another neutral-based game. It's still fast and crazy, but in different ways. We're not going to be doing large-ass juggle combos or sidewinder loops. We're just going to mix the fuck out of you, or just pressure you into the corner, or just hammerfall you, and oh fuck! Characters in the game also rely heavily on meter now, which has been simplified compared to the previous Guilty Gear game, with all options now taking half a bar of meter, apart from Faultless Defense, which just uses a tiny bit of meter at a time. This definitely removes some of the thought on how to use meter, because now I always feel like, me hit enemy, me do RC, me do more damage, me win game, which is the surface level of the game, obviously, but there's definitely more you can do. For example, you can use blue RC to option select someone on their wake up as it slows them down, so you can see if they DP on wake up or not, and use the RC drift to get some nasty mix. There's more to learn from the system with drift RC really raising the skill ceiling to points I can't even think of because I have a tiny brain. There is one gameplay aspect I haven't talked about though, and if you've been watching this, you might be wondering why I haven't brought it up yet. Fishing. Fuck yeah! Women want me, fish fear me. Fuck the tower, I'm all fishing. I'm gonna get me a gator. Game of the year, baby, yeah! Now that I've gone over my thoughts on the basic gameplay, let's go over the game modes that come with the base game. For single player, we got arcade, versus CPU, and survival. The arcade mode is kinda lackluster. You have a pre-planned battle at the start with a conversation between the two characters, then you play several matches before you rematch that first opponent and then fight Nago or Ryuki. If you don't lose any rounds, you'll be kept in the extreme route where you'll have to fight a harder version of Nago, and if you somehow beat this Nago, then you fight a harder version and... Why does it say footage missing? We didn't get it yet, boss. What do you mean you didn't get it? It's just an AI. How hard could it be to beat? Oh, well. You know what? Fair enough. You can get there and beat him. Good for you. You get a gold star. Versus CPU mode is pretty obvious. You fight against the CPU as many times as you want. You can also fight another player if you have friends who aren't across the pond. Finally, survival mode is as basic as it gets. You fight as many AIs as you can, with every 10th AI being slightly stronger with an edgy as fuck skin. You go as long as you can until you die. You can save your progress every 10 matches, which is nice, but it's really easy. Like, going from end of the arcade mode to this makes me feel like it's just combo practice. Speaking of practice, the training mode is so damn good. You have complete control of every aspect of the game, as well as multiple options for the AI in every situation, along with a record function that has multiple slots and a random function. Very nice. Very good. It's nearly the best training mode in the business. Nearly. Just one problem. ArcSys, where's the frame data? The training mode is so good, but the frame data isn't in the game. Why? It's so close to being perfect. You were the chosen one. Thankfully, people have already been digging and put frame data on Dustloop. Thank you, Dustloop. But most people don't know about Dustloop, so they're gonna have a harder time figuring out what they can and can't do against certain options. For example, most people I play against in VC say, I don't know when to press against Giovanna. It feels like she's always plus. But if they could just turn frame data on in training mode, they would find out that all of my save strings are either punishable or so negative that I'm still in recovery after making a 3-course meal. But people don't know that unless they use external resources. Okay, there's 2 more things we need to talk about. The tutorial for the game sucks. Like, if you've ever played a fighting game before, you're not getting anything out of this. The mission mode is better? It's definitely aimed at newer players, which I think is a good idea, as experienced players will either already have knowledge of the functions or be able to pick up the new functions relatively quickly, and some of the later missions are actually pretty helpful and informative for more experienced players. It's not on the level of Exarch Rev 2, but I imagine as the meta develops and B&B combos are found, I imagine that they'll add it in whatever expansion they make. Good job, ArcSys. Hopefully this will help newbies. But you know what won't? Okay, so, the online has problems, but let's start with something good. This netcode is fucking godlike. I can play with someone at the other end of the world and still have a stable connection. Why is there an asterisk on the screen? Because it freaks out if someone's far away and on Wi-Fi. Of course it does. That's not the netcode's fault, to be fair. This is your PSA to get an Ethernet cable while playing these games. Got one? Okay, good. Have fun. If you can get into a fucking match, that is. Holy crap. Okay, so the lobbies have always been the thing that people have had the biggest problems with, and I don't blame them. I like the art style. That's the only good thing I can say about the lobbies. When the lobbies work, they're just okay. You can get into matches, and depending on where you're playing, you can run a decent set or just keep going until you're tired of playing. 2 of the people who I play with regularly have had 40 game sets in the park. Why would they want to play 40 matches in a row instead of rotating between players so they can fight as many people as possible? Well, that's because the park just fucking breaks sometimes! Parks are currently the only way that people from different geographical regions can fight with each other, meaning that if you're in a group of people and some of them want to watch, you have to stream it through Discord so people can watch. I get that they don't want to add spectating into public parks because they're public, but it couldn't hurt, right? Oh, but there is a way to spectate matches. Yes, all of my complaints are flawed because you can just make a player lobby and invite anyone you want with a specific code. A specific code that doesn't work on PC. And when people from different geographical regions join, they break the lobby and can't play or spectate matches. Why are the PC lobbies so fucked, ArcSys? They work perfectly fine on PS4. Why is it broken on PC? I don't get it. I ran a tournament on Sunday, and in order to get players on stream, they had to join the commentator VC, share their screen, and deafen themselves. If the lobbies were working, all they would have to do is play Arxis, this is your most played fighting game on PC of all time. Scratch that. It is the most played anime fighting game on PC of all time. And the fact that for the entire launch weekend, and even now as I am writing this, the player lobbies are still absolutely fucked is something that you should be ashamed of. 30,000 people were playing the game on the first day it came out, and they couldn't create a player lobby to play with their friends. I love this game. It's possibly my favorite fighting game on the market right now, and it was easily the biggest fighting game on launch. But it's so hard to love it when most of the time I don't get to play the game. The gameplay is fun as fuck. The learning process is hard but rewarding. The competitive spark within me has reignited itself, and I'm starting to join tournaments again, but the online infrastructure is so bad. I can see why people just can't get into the game. I do love this game. I want more people to get into it, but I can't recommend it to anyone who isn't deeply invested in the franchise or fighting games because there's so much baggage, and that makes me so sad to say. One of my friends said they wanted to pick up the game, but after I told them what we had to do just to get the tournament running, they decided against it, along with the price of the game, but that's fair. I love this game. I just wish it would let me love it. But it's still Game of the Year, though, because fishing, baby! Woo!